Black plastic takeout containers like the one I'm holding here are oftentimes used by restaurants or food delivery services, but you'd be surprised to learn that when you are done with them, these actually go in the garbage. That's because they can't be recycled here in the city of Toronto. That's recently sparked a discussion online with some residents asking why our recycling facilities can't accommodate these bins. Explain why these black plastic boxes aren't recyclable.
In really simple terms, it's because of their color. It's because they're black. So any other color plastic, the optical sorting machine can pick it up, but when it's black, it can't see it. This black, just as we've talked about, for the time being, in Toronto doesn't have good markets.
So the material is recyclable, the color isn't?
The material would be recyclable if the equipment could see it, but because of the type of equipment, it can't see it.
There's been a push on social media to ban these plastic black boxes. Is that feasible?
It's feasible, but when you ban, you always have to have an option to replace it with. So if you have an option to replace it with, then a ban is an option. Otherwise, it's best not to ban it until you have a good plan B. In a tweet, the City of Toronto explains that the black plastic containers can't be sorted out at their recycling facility, and there's no market to sell it. A rep from the Solid Waste Management Services tells CityNews a recently introduced motion will review what options are available to reduce the use of certain items like plastic bags and plastic takeout containers, and this strategy will also consider fees or bans for specific materials.
What would it take to develop a proper procedure in order to include these plastic black boxes in our recycling system?
Well, basically the equipment at the recycling facility has to be able to identify them on the conveyor belt. And that can't be done with the optical sorters, which is what we have today, because they depend on reflecting light, and black doesn't reflect light.
Does this technology currently exist anywhere else?
It's under development, so the people who do the optical sorters have seen that the black can't be recovered, and so they're working on it, and so they're looking at a different way of doing it that doesn't depend on optical, that it can penetrate a bit deeper into the plastic, but it's still at the research and development stages.
Is it strange that we don't have that technology right now?
It's not that strange. I think what happens is new products become a big issue in the waste stream, and then we notice it, and then we develop the equipment to solve the problem. And in that Twitter thread with the City of Toronto, the town of Richmond Hill also got involved in the discussion, saying that their town actually can recycle these black plastic takeout containers. Ahead on City News, as new materials are introduced in our city, what demand does that put, or what pressure does that put on our recycling facilities here in the city? Now, we've been telling about these black plastic takeout containers like the one I'm holding here, and the discussion they've sparked about why they can't be recycled here in the city. Now, the City of Toronto says it's because they can't be sorted out due to their color, and also because there's no market to sell them. As new materials like this one here and packaging gets introduced to our city, it brings about new challenges for our recycling facilities.
How would you say recycling has changed in the last couple of years? Obviously, lifestyles have changed.
Totally, yeah. We're not a typical example so much, but if we had 4 millennials living in the house, this whole blue box would be full of tiny little single-serve snack packs and really small packaging.
The city's solid waste management tells CityNews contaminated recycling, meaning putting non-recyclable items in the blue bins, currently costs the city millions of dollars annually as a result of increased processing fees and a decrease from selling recyclables. In 2016, there was more than 52,000 tons of non-recyclable materials put in the blue bins. Experts say as the time change, so do the ways we recycle. Has the City of Toronto been able to keep up with these changes and with how recycling has changed over the years?
Yeah, but it's a real challenge because new products come on the market, numerous new products every year, and the coffee pod is always taken as the iconic product that's different to the way we used to live before, but it's a good example. That's something that wasn't there 10 years ago very much, and it's very prevalent today. So it's really changing as all the packaging mix changes and new products are put on the market.
Has the cost of recycling changed over the years?
Absolutely, yeah.
Has it gotten more expensive or less expensive?
More expensive.
Really?
Yeah, because we have more light stuff and less heavy stuff. It's that simple. So we used to have a lot of newspaper. We don't have so much anymore.
And the city says it's also introduced a motion to review options on how to reduce items such as plastic bags and takeout containers like this one here. Now, part of the conversations there and the strategy will come with consideration of introducing bans or fees to these materials.